October 26, 1942, Konyu, Western Thailand. Dawn steams up from the bamboo like breath from a furnace. Cicadas drill the air. A line of men, sunburnt, hollow-eyed, boots rotting at the seams, stumble off open freight cars into a clearing hacked from jungle. The ground is a quilt of red mud, split bamboo mats, and the glitter of standing water where mosquitoes breed. A Japanese sergeant in a faded field cap, Sergeant Major Tanaka, paces with a bamboo cane, tapping the cane head against his leg, the rhythm as steady as a metronome. The men stand at attention because the rifle butts behind them make it the only safe posture to hold. A timber tripod rises out of the mud like the skeleton of a tent. Under it crouches a Japanese surveyor, Second Lieutenant Mori, adjusting a dumpy level with slow, practiced hands. He wears wire-rim spectacles, and a canvas notebook is strapped to his forearm with twine. He peers through glass at a staff held 100 yards up the line by a Burmese coolie in a ragged lungi. Ichi, Ni-san. He counts softly, then calls a reading. A corporal scratches numbers into wet wood with a nail. Behind them, Thai labor contractors in white jackets tally a list that will soon be paid not in coins, but in lives. Shugo, Sergeant Major Tanaka barks. The prisoners fold into ranks. British gunners from Singapore, Australians from Java, Dutch sailors with fever-yellow eyes, American civilian contractors caught in the wrong ocean at the wrong time. Somewhere in the middle stands Lieutenant Colonel Philip Toucey, Royal Artillery, moustache trimmed tight, back straight, eyes searching. Beside him, Captain Weary Dunlop, Australian Army surgeon, carries a kit that consists of a vegetable knife, a tin of iodine, and whatever he can charm from the Japanese stores. Their uniforms hang off them like stolen clothes. "You will build railway," Tanaka announces in English as sharp as a blade. He points with the cane toward the ridge to the north. "Track go Burma, 5-year work. You finish quick. Dai Nippon needs. Understand?" The last word cracks in the air, and the cane slaps a raw-faced private across the shoulder to punctuate the lesson. They understand. Not the words, those they piece together later, but the intent, which is as plain as the humidity. The line must go forward, a meter-gauge line across waterfall country, through limestone spines and choking bamboo, 500 kilometers of jungle that eats metal the way the sea eats iron. The Japanese Army's 5th and 9th Railway Regiments have run the survey stakes. Now bodies must turn stakes into embankments, cuts, bridges and trestles. Bodies are what the Japanese have, POWs and tens of thousands of Asian laborers, Tamils, Malays, Burmese, Thai, herded by contractors who were promised wages and shown the barrel of a rifle when money ran out. Tools are issued like relics, changkuls, the short-handled Malay hoe, hand saws, 2-man crosscuts with teeth like shark fins, sledgehammers polished by many hands, cold chisels for stone, mauls for spikes, adzes for shaping sleepers. There are no excavators, not here. A single rust-scarred compressor appears one afternoon, coughs, dies, and is dragged away like a disappointing animal. The men are told to make with hand. Bamboo will be the scaffold, bamboo the ladder, bamboo the water pipe, bamboo the splint when something breaks. Bone or tool, it makes no difference. The first day's work is clearing line of sight for the surveyors. It sounds benign, it is not. The bamboo is matted and strong as wickerwork. When the changkul bites, you feel the shock up your arms. The air tastes of sap and mold, and every cut opens a new wound in the jungle which bleeds scent. Green, sweet, suffocating. Flies arrive in black constellations. A Dutch petty officer, Karl van Dijk, wraps a rag around his hand to grip a saw and tells the man next to him, "If we stop the saw, it stops our heart." The man next to him grins at the gallows humor and vomits quietly in the brush. Mid-morning, a Thai laborer named Somchai climbs a sapling with a coir rope between his teeth. He loops the rope, leans his weight, and a young teak tilts, sighs, and falls, kicking its root ball free with a crack that rolls down the ridge like thunder. The prisoners cheer without meaning to. Tanaka's cane whistles and stills the noise, but even he watches as bamboo lashed in triangles becomes a standing trestle skeleton, light, springy, impossibly tall. It sways when a man climbs. It sways when 20 climb. A Japanese engineer calls down from the top, "Takusa, hurry," and a string of coolies pass up teak sleepers like ants bearing leaves. At noon, the sky turns the color of old pewter. Rain arrives with no warning, straight down, heavy as rope, and the camp melts into brown. The men strip to the waist and keep working because stopping is more dangerous than moving. Men who stop draw attention. Attention draws the cane, the rifle butt, the boot. Mud sucks at boots until boots surrender. Those who work barefoot learn the jungle quickly. The leeches, the thorns, the hidden roots waiting to twist a knee. A British sapper named Jack Hennessy shows how to burn the leeches off with a cigarette. He has 3 left and treats them like currency. Afternoon light returns, thin and glassy. The surveyor's stake tops are daubed with red lead paint and pushed into the earth with a thud that is almost ceremonial. Numbers are painted, CH42 plus 300, CH42 plus 400. Chainage marks ticking like a clock along the alignment. Tuzi keeps count because numbers are control, and control here is a rare mineral. Dunlop keeps count, too, of fevers he can't yet treat. Malaria, dysentery, the raw cough that is the throat's way of begging for clean water. He walks to the edge of the clearing where bamboo pipes dribble brown water into oil drums and asks a Japanese corporal, "Permesso," permission to boil. The corporal shrugs, lights a cigarette and looks through him. Evening. Kerosene lamps throw butter-yellow halos. A rice cauldron breathes starch into the night. The men eat with tin spoons that taste like battery metal and chew each mouthful slowly to convince their stomachs it is enough. Somewhere a gramophone plays a scratchy waltz. Somewhere else, a guard shouts for silence and the record ash cans mid-bar. In the lamplight, a line of bamboo piles leans over a ravine, lashed with rattan, splinted with wedges, more spiderweb than bridge. A Japanese lieutenant walks the length of it with a clipboard, tapping each lash with the end of a pencil. "Ashita," he says to Tanaka, "tomorrow. Bridge begin." You can feel the line already, as if a ghost train is feathering brakes in the darkness. The sleepers lie stacked like coffins, the rails oiled and waiting, the spikes in canvas sacks arranged like teeth. Somewhere upriver, they say, the rock runs in a wall and must be cut with fire and iron. The men call it Hellfire Pass, though none of them have seen it yet. That belongs to tomorrow. Tonight the jungle presses against the lamplight and listens. April 17th, 1943. Konyu cutting, Thailand. The night hums with the sound of steel on stone. It's not machinery. It's hundreds of hands, swinging hammers in rhythm, the blows echoing off limestone walls like a heartbeat. The air smells of kerosene, sweat, and the faint copper sting of blood. Torches made from bamboo and stolen engine oil flicker along the cutting's rim, turning every shadow into something alive. The men call it Hellfire Pass. Not officially, not on any Japanese survey map, but in whispered English, Aussie slang, and Dutch curses. When you stand back from the torches, the sight looks like something biblical. A trench of ghosts working by firelight, skeletal bodies moving in slow mechanical rhythm. The mountain itself is hard limestone, veined with quartz. No dynamite, no compressors, just hand drills and hammers. Two men hold the steel, one turns it, and another brings the sledge down in a shower of sparks. Turn, strike, turn, strike. If the man swinging misses, it's his partner's hand that shatters. Lieutenant Colonel Philip Toosey stands at the edge of the pass, watching by the light of a single torch wedged into a crack. His face looks carved from the same rock they're trying to move. Weary Dunlop is somewhere behind him, down the slope in a bamboo shack they call a hospital, a place with no anesthetic, no gauze, no beds. He's operating on a man with a fractured femur, using a bent spoon and a length of bamboo as traction. Toosey glances at his watch. 0210 hours. He counts the hammer blows automatically. 17, 18, 19 per minute. He knows every extra swing tonight shortens someone's life by a day. But the line must advance. The Japanese have decreed the speedo period, the acceleration phase. Deadlines shortened, quotas doubled. Any section that falls behind is punished as a group. He hears a scream down the cutting, high, sharp, then swallowed by the night. A guard's silhouette moves across the torchlight. A rifle butt comes down, fast, then again. The scream cuts off. Rain starts to fall, sudden and warm, steaming on the hot rock. The men keep working. The torches hiss, the shadows leap. Every few minutes, a whistle shrieks from the Japanese overseers, marking another cubic yard of rock removed. In the dark, the distinction between sweat and blood vanishes. Morning, the rain has passed. A fog hangs low over the pass, curling between bamboo scaffolds like smoke from an unseen fire. Down the slope, the camp is already awake, men boiling rice, others scraping lice from their seams, one group burying two bodies under a screen of palm fronds before inspection. Captain Dunlop appears at the worksite mid-morning, sleeves rolled, eyes red. He's come to check on a dozen men from his section, Australians mostly, who've been on the night shift for 4 days straight. Their bodies are shadows draped in khaki. He squats beside one who's sitting on his haunches, pale as wax, coughing blood. "You've got to rest, mate," Dunlop murmurs. The man tries to smile. "Rest when it's done, Doc." Dunlop stands and faces the nearest Japanese corporal. He can't work. He'll die here. The corporal grins and makes a small, dismissive wave. All same dead tomorrow. Work today, Dunlop doesn't move. The corporal lifts his stick. For a second, there's a stillness between them, an exchange of pride and fury in the middle of a wasteland. Then Toosey's voice cuts across the pit. "Doctor!" "Back to camp." That's an order. Dunlop hesitates, then obeys. He knows Toosey's keeping him alive. For now. By midday, the sound changes. The metallic ring of hammers becomes hollow. They've broken through a fissure in the rock. The men cheer weakly. Even the guards seem to pause. It means the pass is nearly clear, the hardest part of the entire 258-mile line. But the celebration is short. A new order comes down the line. Night shifts extended. Completion must be immediate. At dusk, the sky turns gold over the ridge. The men are silhouettes again. black against flame-colored light. Some hum songs, fragments of hymns, old pub tunes from Sydney, Glasgow, and Amsterdam. Their rhythm keeps the hammers moving when the mind begins to slip. An Australian private named Tom Daniels looks up at the slope, 60 feet high, sheer, lined with bamboo scaffolds, and mutters, "5 years, they said, 5 bloody years. We've done it in 16 months, and it's killing us." He spits into the dust and picks up the hammer again. That night, as torches flare and the valley fills with the red glow of firelight, the name Hellfire Pass becomes permanent. It's whispered from man to man, a secret title carved deeper than the track itself. In the morning, when the sun burns away the mist, the pass lies open, a raw scar through the mountain, 50 feet deep and wide enough for a train. The engineers mark the gradient. The sleepers are carried in on shoulders. The rails gleam like wet bone. But behind every meter of track, there's a grave. June 2nd, 1943, Songkurai River Valley, near the Burmese border. The monsoon has come. At dawn, the jungle exhales steam. The sky is bruised purple, and the air is so thick you could chew it. Each breath feels like drinking from a tepid cup. Insects form a silver cloud that clings to skin, crawling into ears and nostrils. Down the valley, a whistle shrieks, thin, reedy, and cruelly human. Work has begun. The task today is bridge construction. The line must cross the river, and there's no steel, no cranes, no machinery, only bamboo, teak, and human bodies. The bridge at Songkurai will stand nearly 25 meters high. To the Japanese, it's a marvel of improvisation. To the men who build it, it's a gallows. Australian sapper Tom Daniels stands ankle-deep in the brown water, balancing a bamboo pole against the current. His hands are slick with mud and pus from blisters that never healed. He ties a rattan lash around the beam and looks up, 20 feet above. A British corporal in nothing but shorts hauls a timber across a narrow scaffold that sways like a rope. The rain begins again, sudden, vertical, biblical. The bamboo scaffolds creak and moan under the weight. Every few seconds, a hammer clangs, or a voice calls out, or a board falls into the river and vanishes downstream. A guard shouts, "Hayaku! Hayaku!" Faster, his voice half drowned by thunder. Daniels grits his teeth. 5 years, they said, 5 years and machines. Instead, they are building a railway out of mud and bamboo, out of flesh and terror, and it will be done before the year ends. The camps rot under the monsoon. The ground never dries. The huts sink inch by inch into slime. Men wake to find their bedding alive with maggots. Latrines overflow. Feet swell until the skin splits. Ulcers open like wet craters on ankles and shins. The smell of infection is constant, a sour, sweet reek that even the rain can't wash away. Captain Weary Dunlop walks the rows with a medical tin under his arm, a rusty box salvaged from a crashed truck. He carries quinine tablets measured out like gold, a bottle of permanganate crystals, and little else. Keep the wounds dry, he tells them, though he knows it's impossible. He's already performed 2 amputations this week with a sharpened chisel and a bottle of rice liquor. In the corner of one hut, he finds Private Lewis, 22, emaciated, his leg a pulp of infection. Dunlop squats beside him. "We'll take it off in the morning," Lewis whispers. "Don't bother, Doc." "Won't be here." Dunlop doesn't answer. He just sets his hand on the boy's shoulder, then moves on. Outside, a funeral detail passes, 4 men carrying a bamboo stretcher. No ceremony, no pause. They've learned to dig graves before breakfast. Up the line, Lieutenant Colonel Tuzi inspects the new bridge at Tamarkan, the one that will later be immortalized, wrongly, as the bridge on the River Kwai. In reality, it's two bridges, one wooden, one steel. The steel span was salvaged from the Java railways, barged up the coast, and dragged inland by elephants and men. Tuzi watches as POWs guide a steel girder into place using ropes and bare hands. When it slips, the entire scaffold shakes. A single mistake means a dozen deaths. A Japanese engineer in spotless khaki watches from the bank, clipboard in hand. He smiles when the girder fits. Tuzi sees the smile and feels bile rise. He knows this bridge, like all the others, will be called an engineering miracle. He also knows that miracles in this jungle are paid for in bodies. That night, Tuzi writes in a hidden notebook using charcoal on scrap paper. We build to live. If we stop, we die. But the line is a graveyard with rails on top. By August, the railway has consumed the men. They no longer count days, only bridges and embankments. The Japanese call them units, interchangeable, expendable. The tropical heat cooks thought itself. Malaria sweeps through the camps like wind through tall grass. Men die standing up, still holding tools. And yet the line advances. On September 10, 1943, the first supply train runs from Banpong, Thailand, toward Thambuyuzayat, Burma. Its whistle echoes down the valley like a hymn to madness. The railway, 258 miles of track through mountains, rivers, and jungle, is complete. It should have taken 5 years. It took 16 months. That night, Tuzi and Dunlop stand by the riverbank, watching the fireflies drift over the bridge. The air smells of oil, smoke, and rot. It's done, Dunlop says quietly. Tuzi nods. Yes, but it'll never be finished. Neither of them speaks again. Behind them, the camp flickers with lanterns, and somewhere a guard's radio hisses with a faint march tune from Tokyo. The jungle hums, eternal, indifferent. The line will soon be called the Death Railway. 60,000 Allied prisoners built it. Over 12,000 never came home. Nearly 100,000 Asian laborers vanished without record. The trains will run for 2 years. But the echoes of hammers, of cries, of torches burning against the rock will last for generations.